Hey, there we go. Hey. All right, I'm going to bring us in now. Because why not? Hey, there we are. Hi, everybody.
If you didn't hear the content warning,
This
I
could
will
this could get a little dicey.
I will make sure that there is adult language.
Yes, we will drop all of the letter bombs that contain those words. What's the seven words you're not allowed to say on the radio? George
I'm not saying
Carlin.
not saying those
Oh,
because some
all
of
right.
them are fairly offensive.
I know. This was a different time. Welcome in, everyone, and welcome, James, to a special stream this evening. The holiday season is always a little bit tough. There's always a lot of things going on, and people getting pulled in lots of different directions, and batteries running low. So we opted to do something a little different tonight to make space for those holiday things for our cohorts in Ascensia. And what we're going to be doing tonight is a world building session. If you missed the advert that my lovely wife Meg put together, Ascensia is a really big world, and it's impossible for us to tell all of its stories with just one stream for 2.5 hours every 2 weeks. It's just too much. I've been building this world for years, and there's too much going on. And I have always thought it would be really cool to use other TTRPG systems to tell stories from this world. And that's what we're doing tonight. If you're on our Patreon, you may have caught the episode I did with our other cast member, Erica. If you're not on the Patreon, you haven't seen that, and I think you know how to rectify that. What we're going to be doing tonight, though, is exploring Ascensia's the de facto thieves guild turned assassins cult crime syndicate known as the Shrouded. And who better to do that with than Ascensia's resident former Shrouded member, Vigo James.
That's me.
We are going to be using Blades in the Dark from Evil Hat Games, a system that several of us here at Grimstone have been very excited about. Oops All Rogues, as it is affectionately called. It was a gift from our dear Katie, who is also one of our Essentia cohorts. And specifically, one of the things that attracted me to this system right out the gate, and James and I were discussing this prior to going live here, this game, Blades in the Dark, doesn't just give you a framework for building a character. It then gives you a framework for building your party as a working crime syndicate. In the book, what did we say it was called? A faction game. So essentially, what that is you have figure out what the concept of your faction is. What kind of criminal guild are you going to be? Are you going to be thieves? Are you going to be assassins? Are you going to be spies? You figure out a status for your faction. You figure out what your layer is and what kinds of relationships your faction has with other factions or other bodies within the governance. Blades in the Dark, I will say, does take place in its own world. We are just adapting some of these this setup for our world. And it's really cool. So that's what we're going to do tonight, is we're going to be using the faction game setup to figure out who the Shrouded are, who they were, who they might end up being. So, yeah, I think there's no better place to start than at the beginning, right?
That is a very good place to start.
It is. It is. I did some research, and that was where I landed. Um,
Okay.
so James,
Yeah.
you have all kinds of ideas. Well, I should say Vigo has all kinds of thoughts and feelings in relation to the Shrouded. Uh,
Correct.
so with that kind of pushed to the side a little bit, how do you think the Shrouded came into being? And what's cool here is we've got longevity. We can play with as much span of time as we want. I love the idea of this organization in some form or another has existed for hundreds of years, maybe. Uh, and
So are we talking about the original version? So
yeah,
if I'm understanding the history correctly, Michael, and if this is okay to get into,
absolutely. That's
there
hot.
was a version of the Shrouded that was not exactly benevolent, but also not as bloodthirsty, I suppose.
Correct. Yes. So,
And
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. No, no, no. Go ahead. That's it. Yeah.
Then they kind of got wiped off the map um, due to some heroes from an age past, and they've been in our game replaced by a far more lethal and I don't want to use the word evil, but that seems appropriate
Oh,
version
yeah.
of the organization.
Yes, so the worst of the worst, which really were the most effective. They were the strongest. They were the fastest. They were the slyest. They were the most cunning, maybe. They went to ground pretty hard. The sequence of events, and so this would be. I was thinking that there would be 3 or 4 eras, 3 eras leading up to the time that Vigo was with the Shrouded. How long has Vigo been with the had he been with the Shrouded prior to joining our party? Did we say? Because I don't recall that at all.
Don't recall the exact amount. It was a few
It was a
years.
few years, yeah. So in that time, Vigo would have seen not necessarily some of the benevolence, but not the worst, all of the worst anyway. What I always kind of envisioned is that some point in the in between, prior to the time of Drix and those heroes, uh, there was some kind of power dynamic shift where a outside force, in my mind, it was always some kind of death cult, because uh, kind of moved in and began working with the Shrouded. Like the Shrouded expanded their operations for some reason or another, and that's something we can figure out in the course of this evening. Is these outside element came in because the reason that they were targeted and basically tried these heroes tried to wipe them out was because it was revealed that they had been working and conspiring with a cult that was a part of this big doomsday prophecy that almost succeeded. So once all of that was the actual Armageddon part was resolved, the heroes from that event were like, we gotta still have these things to check off that led us up to this, and the Shrouded, or at least some element of the Shrouded, got mixed in there, and that was the when they were forced to go to ground.
I gotta say, it's always nice when an Armageddon is resolved.
Right?
You're right.
Right? Like, really, sometimes you just gotta sit back and just go. Way to go!
Yeah, Armageddon resolved.
Sweet. All right, what are we doing tomorrow? So what I also in my mind happened with the Shrouded when they were we got to come up with a term. We got to come up with when they were culled, maybe like some I like that term, the culling. I like giving some kind of verbiage to an event or the what now?
Defrocked because they were shrouded.
Eliminated.
Yeah.
Dehazed. There's all kinds of ways we could take that. I imagine that they most likely put in some kind of like, we have dirt on all of these political people. Like, think of Dirites, and like I imagine that there are siblings. Dirites had siblings, and there are other members of the like leadership of the Shrouded that they basically were like, this governing body is going to protect us, and we will like work exclusively for them. That's something into that effect, like basically becoming like a secret, like Black Ops sounds so stupid when I say it out loud, but you know
No,
what I
no,
mean. Like
like
this.
a CIA,
Yeah.
an oh, you know what? An OSS. This is the predecessor to the CIA.
Oh, okay. You learn something new every day, folks. Uh, Gaming and educational. Uh, so so yeah, that's sort of the loose events that I have in mind, and kind of where the dust has settled a little bit prior to us starting the Ascensia campaign. But I feel like I think we could take what
Yeah,
the
let's go
blades.
back.
Yeah, let's go back. Okay. And time is meaningless, especially in this context. It really is, kids. You should. The combat takes forever, but it's only 6 seconds around. Uh, Time is meaningless. So it could be hundreds of years. It could be. I think thousands might be pushing it, but it could be over. Between 1,000 and 2,000 years. Um,
How old is like civilization in Essentia?
a couple thousand years.
Well, I think then as long as there's been I would feel like the development of just a thieves guild is
Would
gonna
have
be.
started pretty early on. You think?
I mean, I think it would follow shortly after civilization because there's always going to be people that are trying to take
It's
without
true.
having to earn it.
That's
Right?
true. That's true.
Yeah. So, and I think that maybe it took a long time for there to be this network, but there probably was a primitive version of the
Yeah.
Shrouded pretty early on.
Okay, so let's go there. Uh, uh, what do we think is the origin of the Shrouded in that case? How did they come about? What was their first big thing? I imagine that. So looking at the Blades in the Dark, the faction game, I have a cheat sheet. uh, I'll send it to you when we're done here. I don't think I can do it now. You start at
You
you.
saying I'm pretty quiet. I don't know if you can
Oh,
make me louder. Yeah.
I sure can. How's that?
I don't. We'll find out. Hopefully, we'll get a comment saying it's better now. But anyway, go ahead. We'll keep going and adjust.
Yeah, let us know, Katie. Um, so the first thing that you do when you're setting up your faction, figuring out who your faction is you figure out your tier. And since this isn't an actual game that we are playing of Blades in the Dark, not yet anyway. I think we can safely say that they start at tier 0. It starts with a couple people.
Yeah. So I think a good inciting incident were maybe like two thieves went after the same sort of target at the same time and ran into each other and said, "Hey, if we work together, maybe we can make more. We can do better, do more better, picking off targets together and splitting the proceeds than going off on our own." And so they formed they started to form a small network when they would encounter other people.
Okay. So they two thieves are going after the same thing
Yeah.
for personal reasons, or were they hired or asked to do it?
I think it probably started. So and this is James as Vigo sort of thinking about it. I think the reason Vigo I think when he first joined the Shrouded was first sort of press ganged into the Shrouded, as it were.
Yes.
He was pretty stoked about it and didn't go running after Demetra at the very beginning because this was in his mind their end goal was to always be a member of the Shrouded. And I think that probably developed from a romantic notion of what this group was.
Absolutely, yeah.
We're gonna steal from all the a Robin Hood sort of thing. So I would in the mythology in his mind at least, it would have started as two people that had been sort of they weren't hired by anybody. They were just they were held under the thumb of the system, and were trying to get some money for their bread or something of that nature.
And they just got real good at it. And when you get real
Yeah.
good at things,
Can make it a profession.
people start, you make waves. So, the first Grandmaster of the Shrouded,
Okay.
one of these two thieves, or I guess it could be a co mastering situation.
Kinda like the Roman Empire, and we've got like a not a triumvirate, but a diumvirate. That's
Yeah. I think that works. So two Grandmasters.
God, I'm a nerd.
I'm just glad that, I mean, we're both nerds. I'm just glad that we have this opportunity to just be nerdy. Because I love it. This is my part of my favorite one of my favorite aspects of TTRPGs.
And just because I'm way too internet aware, no, I don't think about the Roman Empire every day.
Ugh, that's so 2025.
We're still there. We still have hours left.
I'm so behind on internet culture. That's probably from 2024, and I just don't even know it. So these two were both found themselves after the same thing. Realized maybe there was a one-upping sort of dynamic to that whole scenario, and then when they became organized or started to become organized, these two became leadership figures. So let's figure out a single difficult task, a significant heist or event or that the two that put what's the first like ripple that would start to garner other people's attentions outside of their immediate city that they were in.
Okay, so I am a giant history nerd. So let's talk about Ascensia history.
Okay.
I guess when disparate, assuming that history of Ascensia sort of followed our own sort of history in a way, when disparate groups started forming cities, city-states, these civilizational structures, what were they forming them around? Were they like farming communities? Was there a significant religious component involved where they shared the same sort of myths or religious beliefs?
So that varies depending on where we are in Ascensia, but I'm imagining that the Shrouded, just because of how rooted it is in the history that I've already written, it started on Karajid. For those of you who aren't super fans of our Tuesday night game, shame on you. Karajid is the continent that Katie, Meg, and James's characters are all originated from. Well, sort of. James and Katie's characters originated from the Feywild, but they grew up mostly in the material plane on this island, island continent of Karajid, which is a part of a chain of continents in the Celestial Sea. So I think it makes sense that they would have started there. I did entertain for a minute the notion of what if it started somewhere else and came to Karajid? Because I do like that idea. I think that is neat.
There's various continents throughout the world.
Yeah.
Right? So,
oh, for sure. And this is just the cluster really is just one hemisphere too. Yeah. Essentia is huge. And it's really difficult to explain conceptually without visual aids, and I don't have it with me right now. But I'll rectify that. Eventually, I'll have a cool infographic. It's really difficult. I've tried drawing it so many times, James. I cannot figure out how to get it out of my head onto paper.
I believe you.
It's very taxing. So I think that it varies. I think that there are definitely parts of Karajid that the first cities were resource focused. So you have strong coastal civilization, a strong plains, probably farmland sort of civilization, and then one that was sort of bordered the jungles and the mountains. That was very much, again, there are resources here that our people can thrive off of. So this is where we build our big city. Uh, does that
What
make
about
sense?
yeah? What about ore mining eventually?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's a big one up in. So Avenfjord is one of the main towns. It's the town that Meg's character Odessa is from, and it's the the Avenfjord elders would have you believe that it's the oldest city in Karajid. Whether it is or not, I don't know, but they would have you believe such because it is, the bones of the land, so to speak. That's what they refer to the mountains as. So yeah, there definitely would have been ore mining, precious metals and gemstones and things of that sort were definitely in supply.
All right.
There,
So
yeah.
did the early? I'm sorry, I don't mean to
No,
interrupt.
no, no. Go ahead.
The early peoples of Karajid value shiny things as much as humans did.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean the sparkly. Look, we are. Come on, come on.
Right. Sure.
It's this. That's a human thing. Well, yeah, right. So
Yeah.
and I think that I also am of the school of thought that it could probably be multiple things at once. So there also are forces. Gaian worship is a big part of the culture of Avenfjord, and the Furbolg that originated there. And they descended from giants, and the giants, would have been up in the mountains, higher up in the mountains at one point. There could be both components. There could be resources and industry, and the things that we intrinsically give value to, and as well as a religious or at least pseudo religious adjacent.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Oh. You there? Okay.
I am. That was really, you froze in such a weird spot that it looked like you were just really thinking hard. You were like,
all right. So two options. I'm gonna let you choose from those. Does that sound good?
yeah, I'm here for it.
So option one, they stole a cache of precious metals and were able to fabricate coins out of it, like counterfeit coins, and disperse that wealth amongst their members, making them all extremely wealthy persons in Avenfjord at the beginning. That wealth was generational in nature. Number two, they were able to heist some sort of religious artifact, some sort of elemental artifact that was super important to Gaia worshippers, that has since been lost to the sands of time.
You know what? I like both of those, so they're gonna both be true.
Oh boy!
So piggybacking off of the coins, I love this idea. Did you play any of the Assassin's Creed games?
The first two.
Arguably two of the better ones, especially the second one. Second one's pretty solid. I just on a lark played Mirage.
Okay.
Yeah, which felt like a really fancy, like a better version, updated mechanic, gameplay wise version, prettier version of the first game in a lot of ways. But there's this the merchant and mercantile system in that game. The inventory is all rubbish, but there's this thing where you find these specific marks. They're specific special coins that merchants recognize as belonging to guilds, and then it gives you some kind of sway. So what if they came up with a currency that they were able to produce in such a way that it actually disrupted the economy a little bit, but then it became like if you gave this, if you used that currency with a certain, you could, it would basically give you ends with favorable merchants.
I think that makes sense so long as it's some sort of incredibly hidden detail in the
Oh
coin.
yeah, thieves can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
of that nature
We,
that only certain people would pick up on.
that's the origin of thieves can't in Ascensia right there, baby.
All right. Still trying to teach Demetra that. She'll get it someday.
It's really hard because it's can be a lot of things. Have you ever tried to learn kanji?
No, God, and I'm not.
There you go.
I don't have the time.
I do.
Mental energy for that.
I do have a Thieves Camp primer that I can send y'all if y'all wanna host a Thieves Camp study session.
Well, I think you should just me because I'm not gonna share that with everybody.
It's okay. We'll do Thieves Camp with you. We'll get Eric in here for our Shadow Tongue Thessian, whatever the hell I decided it was pronounced.
What was the word for eggplant again? Do you remember?
Fuck, I don't remember. Oh yeah, whatever the Thessian word for aubergine is. I do have it noted somewhere. Maybe.
Am I the most annoying person you've ever had at a table?
I'm gonna be really honest with you, James. No, you might be on the list. No, I'm just kidding. You're not that annoying. Wait, that's from the session I did with Erica.
Not that annoying. Damning with faint praise.
You're welcome. I'm starting to think maybe I didn't write it in here. I probably wrote it. Yeah, I wrote it in my other.
Oh, the word for outlook? Oh, I was just kidding. We don't. All back joke. Don't look it up.
All right. So they take all these precious metals and they're able to. I also the counterfeit coin thing and like being able to establish specific members or specific people within the city as upper class. You know, basically putting. I imagine this whole storyline now of the two leaders of the guild probably don't do that. They probably like keep it pretty humble, at least for a while, and then they pick members that are particularly charismatic and give them that false wealth so that they could assert themselves into positions of power within the governance at that time, so that they can make things easier, because bribing the power, the establishment, that's how you do it. You grease palms, right? Grease palms.
I like to think that they definitely take on and build upon that generational wealth to provide for their but they try they at least play at the humble beginnings and code that they've established.
Yeah, I think in that those up to this point, up until this big heist, which I'm gonna figure out some kind of event that it takes place, it coincides with, so that it's either like a celebration or something that serves as a distraction for this big dumb heist, and that'll be our Blades in the Dark session right there.
I feel like
at that so at that point I think they have risen up to a tier 2 organization, which is a medium-sized organization with like city council wards and large gangs within the city. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was saying I think the story of the Shrouded is a story of like decay and rot from within, right?
Oh,
They
yeah.
start like this sort of principled standpoint, and then like slowly over eons the principles wear away in the pursuance of further wealth, etc.
Right. So their first big heist, their first big thing that gets folks' attention, it makes a name for themselves, as much as a secret thieves guild makes a name for themselves.
Can I add something to the Are you going to go with both of the things I said, or just
Yeah,
the coin?
I like the coin. I like both because the religious icon element is the fact that it disappeared. That it is, that's easy. Like that's easy for it to be tacked on there, and then there's all kinds of reasons why that could be.
If I can add to that,
Yeah.
that the whatever that symbol that artifact was a symbol of like sort of priestly domination over the lesser folk, and
Okay.
they took it away from them as a means of saying you have no control over these people, or at least that's how the story goes.
Yeah. See, this is fuels me because it having like the ghost at least or the framework of an event and then figuring what really happened, what people say happened, what people think happened, you know. I'm a big study. Mythology is one of my favorite subjects, and there's this really great book called The Quest for the Shaman that is basically an anthropological look at shamanism. And in this study, they cite all sorts of myths and the real world parallels. And so like this idea of like I once wrote a paper on like what the real world Ragnarok could have been, you know, earthquakes and eclipses, things like that. The things that that our ancient ancestors witnessed in nature that made them create their myths. Mythology is ancient science. It was an ancient way for our ancestors to describe what was happening around them. So figuring out what did they actually do, what do people think they did, what do they think they did. That's super fun for me. So, and that gives me a nice place to land with something else that will happen a little bit later. So, yeah, hooray for us. So,
Right.
in their first era is what we're going to call this. The first era, the foundation, the founding, and they're up to their first big heist. They end at like a tier 2. And then I think where the rot starts, and this is being a student of history, you could probably pontificate on this better than I could. War is really the one of the big significant things that happens that causes paradigm shifts in basically every facet of a society. So when you have this Avenfjord, or at least the foundations of Avenfjord, I don't know if it's always been called Avenfjord, I haven't decided yet. If war came to them, how did this guild get involved? What impact did that have? So that's one world event that happens that would impact their development in their what we will call the second era.
Okay. So I think the easiest way to sort of address this is, again, as a student of history, in the period between the founding and whatever war we're talking about, the founders probably have passed away. Like
at this point, yes, they were. Yeah, they're not immortal. They weren't immortal races. So
their time has come and gone.
Yeah.
And they obviously, as we've talked about, I think off camera, but maybe not on camera, the Shrouded has a pretty significant bureaucracy to it.
Yes.
And they had, I would imagine they established that bureaucracy, and now we've got Alexander's generals fighting over his empire. Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a perfect parallel, really.
Leading up into the this war period where you've got some are the idealists that want to maintain this sort of Robin Hood ideal that doesn't really exist, but that's what they think it is. And there are others that are just like, no, we stand to make a lot of money here. And the vast majority, I think, as war happens, the vast majority are going to probably side with the money making side, and they can very easily and clearly become war profiteers, right?
Yeah, That's
Providing
literally the word that I was just writing as you said it.
gun runners.
Yeah.
It's not really guns necessarily,
No,
but
yeah.
like weapons.
Right.
Things.
The mountain range that Avenfjord is on, they do mine a mineral for explosives there.
And I think this is also like where they could start being an entity that's for hire in a way, right? Because maybe the whoever is at war, Avenfjord, another city state, whatever, could hire them out to perform certain tasks for them under the table, to try and give them some sort of advantage and on a war footing. So I think that again, the profiteers probably sort of win out at this point, and they become extremely, vastly more wealthy while playing all sides of whatever war is involved.
And I think that because they are tier 2, there are gangs, so there is a more segmented component to how the overall organization functions within the city. So you definitely could have, specific concentrations in one district or another that all the ideologues are attracted here, because this is the residential block. This is where the people of the city are. This is, and then you have the profiteers up in the industrial quarter or the governance quarter or whatever, and at some point in there, because so this war, without going into like too much detail, I guess this war is the war with the dragons. It's the war with the Dragonborn. So it is an outside force coming to Karajid to take and burn. So whoever hired them would be of the city. Although, I mean, I haven't like cut myself off to the idea of the Dragonborn having some machinations about not killing everybody. But I don't know yet. I've invested too much thought there.
Well, so I mean, I think what you could say there is that these war profiteers have no loyalty to the actual government.
Oh yeah.
Or the people. So the Dragonborn could easily come in and be like, "Oh, we'll leave you be if you do these things. Like, we'll pay you to do these things, and in exchange, we'll also, when the revolution comes, you won't be up against the wall." But lying to them, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because they're charismatic and silver-tongued, and I think during all of this, there are still the upper echelon of the Shrouded is still sort of like at least play acting at providing for poorer folks.
Oh yeah,
people that are directly affected by the war, as a way of maintaining that sort of Robin Hood imagery.
Yeah.
That sort of like, oh hey, we're not against you all, we're on your side.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they're just aggrandizing their own wealth.
Yeah. I always, again, pop culture is just one of those things, contextual references, of like when I when I played this or when I saw this or when I read this, it made me think of this thing from our game. In Assassin's Creed, there was basically the guy who was in charge of like the thieves organization in this city also took care of a bunch of orphans. Like there were a lot of kids that, so like I like this idea of there being, at least with the ideologues and in its early days, being a concerted effort from some leadership within the organization to make things better for the common man. Like I had for a long time had this idea about songbirds, what they were called, and it was a title that was given to an older member who was maybe a little too old for jobs, and they were basically would take care of. They would be the ones legit, yes, literally. They would be the ones who would take food to this family that they know so lost their son in a shipwreck or whatever woes were affecting the people. There would be songbirds within the organization that would go out for this
Right, and I
outreach.
think that those people would be less likely to sell them out or report them and
Yeah.
help them evade being stamped out by whatever governing force was attempting to.
Yeah. So
Hideous.
now I imagine this in 3 eras, with the going into the 4th. So 4 eras, really. 3 that Vigo is very distant from, because this is all, thousands, hundreds of years prior.
Sure.
At this, I'll think about that more later. At some point between the 2nd and 3rd era, we'll say, what happens that brings in the assassins element? And I think it's easy when you have war happening for there to be some recognition of, you're really good at sneaking into places. You're really good at being quiet. How are you at stabbing people?
All right, so let's talk about this. How does this war with the dragon folk end?
Ultimately, the Dragonborn are beaten. They are defeated. It is with a basically, just to give you the blister plate or boilerplate line. An army of dinosaurs helps turn the tide and pushes
Dinos
the,
v dragons.
that yeah, love it.
All right.
Yeah.
So, my thought process here then is that, and this is a war against sort of everyone in Karajid, right?
It's not just so. It's basically you have access to the map, so you can look at the map. The northeastern coast, from all the way to the top, basically that entire right side of the map, because they invade from another continent that is to the far east of Karajid, called Drakas, that they come in on airships and dragons, because they fly on dragons. Thank you, Baldur's Gate, for reminding me how cool that is. This is one of the things that I just kind of let go from my childhood. You let go of childish things. You can't ride around. And you're like, oh shit, that's cool as fuck. Like, that scene at the bridge was cool as fuck. I hate the gifts so much, but damn, they got style.
I don't want to get off topic, but remind me when we finish. Remind me to tell you something about
Okay.
that particular scene. In any event, okay. So, I think the Shrouded has used the war as an opportunity to spread throughout that whole portion of Karajid, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything's involved in the war effort.
Yeah.
And the powers that be have utilized them to some extent as a black network to get things that they need, and are like, oh, you guys are really good at that sort of thing. And at this point, they're like, how would you like more money to stamp out people that are trying to usurp our authority? And I think this is where there could be some, if you wanted to include this, there could be some level of schism between those. Let's drop my mic. Some sort of schism between the folks that are trying to uphold those sort of fake ideals that they started with versus the more profiteering types. Because if we've talked about this before, there was, at least in that other, oh god, it's not I'm blanking now. What's the continent our characters are currently on?
Eldaria
had a thieves guild.
Mm-hmm. The Black Gloves.
Let's say schism again. Schism.
It's a good song.
Schism.
I know the pieces fit.
Look, you grow up Catholic, you hear a lot about schisms.
Fair.
In any event, maybe you get a split off between the Shrouded and some people that just try to become like a separate thieves guild at this
Sure,
point because
yeah.
they're not willing to accept
Yeah.
the assassination part. But that's all sort of kept from the public in a way because the Shrouded are the ones that continue to provide that
Right.
sort of financial aid to the public writ large.
Yeah, they established themselves like as a guild. Like they're, the Shrouded are they have basically found ways to accrue themselves certain amounts of immunity. Like I think about like what are they called? The Zentarum. Like
Yeah,
the
the Black Network.
people know, like they know. The flaming fists know. You know what I mean? So I absolutely I do think that some of those would have broken off. I love the idea of. So I think during this conflict, during this war, because this war goes on for several years, maybe the Shrouded were brought in an escort capacity for moving goods through the war zone, through conflict areas, and in
escort or more like smuggling.
One man's escort job is another man's smuggling operation. Who are you trying to get arrested?
When I think escort, I think we're protecting people bringing the goods. When I think smuggling, it's we are ourselves sneaking the goods.
Well, I think it'd be both. I think it could be both. I think you have elements of both. More to where the direction that we're leaning. Definitely smuggling. I think that they're probably. I'm also like imagining we have to get this person out of this city, so we're gonna use these people because they're good at sneaking around, or we need to, you know what I mean? Or also the other cool thing about information too, spies. I feel like they would have been used in that capacity as well because again, when you have a dedicated group of people who are good at a specific types of tasks, you're going to call on that.
Correct.
So I think in that time they would during this conflict, during the Dragon Wars, because that just sounds cool in my head. I don't care how basic it is. Get out of my party. It's the Dragon Wars.
I don't like it.
Well, I thought about workshopping it, and then I remembered I don't give a shit.
It comes right before the Dragon Wars: Attack of the Dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's just weird. And then I tried something a little different before that. It's Prelude to the Attack of the Dragons. That's kind of a mouthful, though.
We've got Attack of the Dragons is a major motion picture. The Dragon Wars, however, is a TV series.
Or the narrative, the book. It's the book version of this. Yeah. Anyway, what the fuck was I saying before I distracted myself? During that time, I feel like they would have spread to the other cities on the coast, at least on the coast, and in the aftermath celebration of this war has ended, we beat back these people, they would have established themselves in those other cities, which gives more opportunities for schism, if you want to have more of those ideologues spreading and doing their own thing, which I'm super into. I think that's a cool idea, and also gives us plenty of places to revisit for other games. The Secret Thieves Guild. So at the end of the war, so they have their golden age at the end of the first era, and in this second era, this war comes about, and we get a clear separation of ideologues and profiteers. During this conflict, the assassination capabilities of these individuals is highlighted, and they expand their work a little bit, and then so at that point they graduate up to, I think, a tier 4, which is a massive organization.
Sure.
if you're my mind again, I haven't played Blades in the Dark, so I don't know exactly what the parallels are, but am I imagining,
Right.
like centers of control of power within the major cities, at least on one half of the continent? That to me strikes me as a massive organization.
What's the highest tier?
Tier
Blades
5.
in the Dark. Okay, so they're almost there.
Yeah. Tier 5 is legend. You have legendary forces. Legendary. So then first era, second era, into the third era. So in the third era, this is the Thieves Guild the Shrouded, that the stories that come from this time would be the stories that Demetra and Vigo would be familiar with.
But I think a very romanticized version of
Yeah.
those stories.
Yeah.
That they're still paying for that public opinion. They're getting that Q rating from their public outreach, though it's not in any way descriptive of the true nature of the organization. I think they pay a lot to maintain this facade of being a glorified thieves guild that steals from the rich. To accede to the poor. That's not really true. That they're taking on contracts from rich folks and stuff like that to do dirty work.
Yes, absolutely. And at the end of that third era, in going into the time leading up to when Vigo would be drafted, that's when whatever cultish aspect somehow gets involved. So what could happen that would take the leadership at this point, which at this point we probably have multiple leaders, like a council of sorts, maybe, I'm imagining, you ever watch Cowboy Bebop?
Yes.
Of those rich jackasses that were all sitting up on the thing
So I think maybe, and I don't mean to interrupt, but
no, go ahead. Please do.
So at this point, we've settled on one grandmaster for the guild,
Right.
and then a council that's below the grandmaster.
Right.
All right. The most recent grandmaster passes away, and there is a shuffle, some sort of, or it's not scuffle for who's going to be the next grandmaster. And the person that comes out on top has some affinity for the occult.
Okay. Yeah.
Has an affinity for superstitious religious services and rituals and rites. Maybe has a real deep connection with a particular god.
Well, there would be, something like a god of like a shadow. There would be deities that would represent powers and forces that would be beneficial to people in this line of work. It's one of the things that always makes me laugh about D&D is atheists in D&D. It's weird.
Clearly these things exist.
Yeah, well, I'm sitting right here. You know what I mean? We could call them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But yeah, I think that they have an affinity for the occult, and once they've consolidated power, they start bringing in worshippers of whatever this particular deity is.
Okay.
And sort of fill out the bureaucracy with these cultists, right?
Yeah, so that's you can thank that individual for Deity's presence within the guild.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Because the UNT, being a lost people really at this point, And I'm borrowing a little bit from their like lore as it is in the just the general D&D canon. The forgot as I just think it's cool. I don't need to like really change anything other than like the places, but that's where they basically come into play. Is this deity that the Grandmaster worships, follows, is a what's the word, chosen of? Because I forgot how much I enjoyed the narrative of the Dead 3 in Baldur's Gate, because I was just so my other two games are all still in the first act, or no, I guess the one of them just got into the second act, so I had completely like, oh yeah.
I'm a champion that
some that they have chosen, and in part of that brokerage is a force of people, of loyal servants, and that is going to be the UNT, and that's how deities and all that gets thrown into the mix. How many figureheads under the Grandmaster do we think? You want to roll for it?
I don't know. Like a council of like 10.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
And that, I think the Grandmaster, probably this new Grandmaster, makes some untimely disappearances or disasters befall a lot of these council members, and they're replaced by cultists.
Oh yeah, sycophants for sure, 100%. And those are the ones that, as time progresses, because these people become pretty established. I'm thinking probably at least within the first a decade prior to Vigo's time. That those are the we're gonna come up with some kind of cool title for them. That those individuals are the ones that Drix and the other heroes end up going after and taking out a lot of those individuals.
And I think when they do that,
the culling.
Yes, that PR, that public relations campaign, sort of ceases.
Oh yeah.
The myths and legends about the Shrouded persist.
Yeah.
Even though they're not actively pursuing that level of PR anymore.
Yeah. Katie, I don't know if you're still hanging out in the chat, but you can write the ballads and the epics from throughout history about the Shrouded, because that would be how at least most of those stories. Let's figure out what's the Robin Hood of Ascensia.
Right.
Sure. That story can exist in some form or another.
Raptor cloak.
Yeah. So stupid. I love it. Okay, so cult, death, pretense is kind of falling away, and like they're just not talked about as much, like in a public sense. The papers don't report on them.
Oh no, yeah.
The bards don't still write ballads or anything about them.
People that aspire to that lifestyle still hold them in esteem, but the general public is kind of wary.
And then the culling happens. How many people remain in leadership? Does the Grandmaster get killed? And that actually is what causes the bulk of the turmoil, like how the worst of the worst assert more power. What do we think? What's the most what's interesting?
This is I'm not sure here. I liked it. Like, part of me thinks the Grandmaster survives, and the culling actually allows him to consolidate power even more within his cultist beliefs. That the remaining council that were not of his persuasion have been eliminated, and he's able to rebuild the Shrouded entirely with people of his own ilk.
Okay, I like that.
That kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah. I gotta come up with a word. for the
For the
under
counselor?
just under the grandmaster, because I can't say council because that's I already used that in like 3 other places. I'll just
Sure.
get confused.
All right.
They have to have
So
some title, like
So well, let's settle in on this. What deity do they worship?
it's a death god. Let me find my. Hold on, I gotta find. Oh, it's right in front of me. Sorry, I need to pull up my pantheon.
I don't mean to sound too grandiose here, but I have to pull up.
Let me access the pantheon in my obsidian story tree. No big deal.
This whole session is making me a little sad that I'm playing in this campaign, because otherwise we should be just world building together.
Oh, we can do, James. We can world build anytime you want, man. Anytime. I am here for it. All right. Pantheon. Let me search.
Meg trying to throw a bunch of names out there in the chat. I got the board, the horseman, the trust. Well, I gotta see what this deity's name is. That'll bring some level of inspiration.
All right, so the death deities, as they are currently listed, Vorthes, Nisara, Ziphoros, I don't even know how to pronounce that one, Erythalus, and Malthus. So those are all, let me look.
That's a lot of death deities.
Death comes in many forms.
That's fair.
And it has many aspects. I'm trying to think of like so you have one that's like the god of judgment, the passage of souls. You have one that's a god of mourning and remembrance. You have one that's the god of like violent and unexpected deaths.
Wait, so when you said Malthus, how's that spelled?
Maelthys. Malthus.
Okay. Because I wrote it down as in Malthus, as in Thomas Malthus, the economist, and I was going to say Malthusians, which is like probably not the best idea.
That would actually, that name, because so he's his what do you call it? Epitaph is the Pale Hunger. He's the devourer of lost and forgotten souls. He is feared by most as a monstrous entity that preys on those who die without rites or remembrance. Some desperate cults seek his favor, believing he can grant immortality at a terrible cost.
I kind of like that, because I like the idea of the Shrouded, like, picking people off the streets that have no hope, no future, and just like...
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, so I think then maybe...
That's on brand.
Can we say that the just those 10 people are like the Malthusians?
Yeah. This is then like basically the Grandmaster.
Or even better, there's 10 of them. They could be the fingers of Malthus.
Ooh, yeah, I like that.
Or just Malthus's fingers.
Or the toes.
No.
The toes of Malthus.
If this was a sloth-based community, sure, but
no, that's great. I love that, and that's basically this Grandmaster has at this point in the history has turned the organization into his de facto death cult, and that's plays exactly in line with the trajectory of like world events.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So the fingers of Malthus. So that's who they were, and those are the ones that get culled during the culling, right?
Well, I think
and then there'll be new ones essentially.
Okay, let's say before the culling, they could have just been called the Council, the Shadow Council or something like that. And then after the culling, our Grandmaster renames them to the Fingers of Malthus, because he stocks it entirely. The Malfeasance, get out of here, man. That's really good. That's a James.
That's good. That is a James level pun. Yeah. Well played.
That's the highest compliment I can give.
You need like gold stars with your face on it. Yeah.
But then post culling, he stocks that full of his own dudes
And calls those the fingers of Malthus. Yeah, I love that. Okay. Yeah, that's great.
You're welcome. Yeah, the Shrouncil, the Shrouded Council.
Oh my god.
Portmanteaus, friends, get into them.
So we're about at the time that I thought we would be getting through those eras. So this is where I would like for us to find the punctuation mark for the evening.
Okay.
First question: how much of this history do you think Vigo learned in his time with the Shrouded? I mean, he was there for you said several years.
Okay. So, all right. I think
to metagame or not to metagame. That
no. This
is the question.
I mean, I
know. I know.
So I think Vigo, when he got pressed into service with the Shrouded, was familiar with the public version, the version that was out there for people like him. That this was a gallant organization stealing from the rich, giving to the poor. Because I think that's Vigo's whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't. He's not a Robin Hood because he's more self-interested in that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a complete Mary Sue. But he's interested at like.
He's Spike Spiegel.
To some extent, yes. He's interested in poking at the rich, and he does not want to fuck with little people. Take what little they have. That's not interesting to him. That's not what he's never wanted that. He's always wanted to go after people that have a lot to enrich his own coffers, not necessarily to provide for other people.
Right.
Because he doesn't really give a shit about other people because in his mind, they all want him dead.
Yeah.
So in his time with the Shrouded, I think he's learned that they're not... I don't know that he knows a ton about all of the goings on. He knows they're not the organization they hold themselves out to be. They're way more invested in wet works for the purpose of accruing wealth and power more than they are in serving the lesser folk in the world. I guess it sort of depends on how much. I think the only real significant contact he has that provides any context for him is Dirates, and I get the sense that Dirates isn't telling him any of this shit.
I imagined. I mean, this again, but we're two different people, two different imaginations. I imagine that there would have been other individuals that Vigo could have talked to.
Oh yeah. I think he had some inner. So all right, the way I'm thinking about this is that the Malthus worship and the ultimate direction of the Shrouded is a very high level concept.
Oh yeah. You were among the grunts.
Yeah, that's not disseminated to the lower echelons,
which they are called shades.
Yeah, we're just people for hire to do nasty shit that people don't otherwise want to do themselves.
Yeah.
So I don't think he has a lot of information about the higher up workings of the organization. He just knows that they're involved in way nastier shit than the romanticized version of the Shrouded would give way.
I do also think that there probably would have been some sort of archive. There would have been some kind of record keeping, and the guild aspect would still have some presence. Look, there would be sanctuaries. That's where Vigo lived, basically, is in these underground hideouts, and they vary in size. I am working on all kinds of like blueprint style maps of them to put as background art in my battle maps because I am a freak. So like I can imagine like a quartermaster type, characters. I can imagine archivists, and there would be like
bureaucracy involved, right?
right.
Vigo is like he's book dumb.
He's so not, so those would not necessarily be the types of people that he would seek out.
Unless it's a legend that is then easily translated into dramatic form, he doesn't give a shit.
Well, there you go. So there definitely would be some sort of epic poem, ballad, some kind of story about the first big heist. And there definitely would have been some significant stories from the Dragon Wars.
And Vigo's probably well acquainted with those.
Yeah.
But the rest of this stuff, no, he doesn't. He's dumb as a brick.
Okay. That's about about what
He loves reading stories. He's street smart, but he's just, when it comes to actual history, he's not James.
Indeed. Cool. Well, then I'll put it to you and Katie to figure out those ballads and epics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bunch of power.
Excellent. Okay. I feel like that's a pretty good little breakdown. We kind of used the framework. Kinda. But, when creative heads get going, it really is hard to stop. And the framework tends to fall away.
I just can't believe I got through a whole session on here or anywhere else where I had to use my whole my normal voice the whole time.
I know, that's crazy. I had ideas, but I wanted to just kind of feel out how the evening. One of those things you don't ever want to just like force it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I like to just kind of see where it goes and what it feels like, and if we got to a place where we wanted to use voices, we would have done so, but we didn't.
Absolutely.
So we didn't.
No, this was perfect.
This was great. Yeah, and it's work. Like, I actually took notes, and I'm gonna flesh out my friggin' Blades in the Dark session that I'm gonna eventually run.
All right. So how quickly is this going to all come back to ruin Vigo's day?
That cult business is serious business.
Seems it.
Yeah, that cult business is serious business.
I feel like I just made Dirities even worse.
You definitely did. Like 100%. Don't get me wrong. It was the training wheels were there. I'm not without help. But yeah, that now I feel like I've been given permission.
Great.
One of the things that in where we are with the story and being in the Shadowfell and like figuring what that's all about and that there are a number of directions that could go. One of the things that I'm personally like challenging myself with is I want it to be a hard decision for Vigo to agree to go back to the material plane, because that's where Dirities is. He's actually safe from Dirities relatively here. Because Dirities is the Shadowfell is not his thing. That's one of my personal GM goals, but we'll see how that goes.
I think based on information that we've talked about, what that decision is probably going to center around.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Even the wisest among us cannot see the end of all roads, but I do have an atlas, so well, this was great. I had a really good time. I love just doing the creative thing, and even just using the very minimum that I did. Blades in the Dark really does like set up for a really cool game concept in terms of making your party an actual entity in the world, and I love that idea, and I'm definitely like that's where we're going. I'm gonna make an Ascensia, like a session of Blades in the Dark that takes place in Ascensia.
I very much look forward to that.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. So thanks, James, for hanging out and being creative with me.
This was my pleasure. I was
Yeah.
happy to do it.
We'll do it again. Maybe we can make this a semi-regular thing, just world building sessions. Because I think that's fun, genuinely, and it makes me excited to play more. Not that I need any help being excited, but you know what I mean. Like it just adds more to. It's like when I was younger, when I was a kid, and when I was a teenager, I really loved trailers for movies. Like I prided myself on like seeing the trailer before everybody else, right? And then and in a way, like, because that it added something to the whole overall movie experience, even though now in hindsight it's way better not watching any of the trailers.
Well, I think a good trailer doesn't ruin the movie
a,
for you. It
a,
just
a good trailer is just a teaser.
yeah.
A good trailer is just a teaser. I feel like these world building sessions work in that capacity. It gives me more context for the world in terms of how I want to build sessions in relation to how the world affects the characters and how the characters can potentially affect the world. But it also just like adds more to it. It makes it more alive, and the more alive it is, the more fun it is. So this was great. Top tier, top drawer. If you're hanging out in the chat, thank you so much. We greatly appreciate you. This is the last stream of 2025. 2025 still alive. 2026 pick up sticks. I don't know. I got nothing. Rhymes. We will see y'all next year. We have what's the next thing? We have tabletop turntable.
Yeah, a couple things coming up. So our next tabletop turntable campaign is going to be a modified version of Never Stop Blowing Up, run by our very own Erica. It is going to be based on, if I'm remembering this correctly, Secret Agent Barbie?
Yes, that is correct. Your memory recollects correctly.
Somehow I've been roped into this as playing Pen?
Roped into this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's going to start. When is that starting next? That's going to be
check
on
the calendar.
I believe the 14th. Yes, is our first session of that. No, excuse me, the 13th. That's a Tuesday. Next week on the 6th, we'll be back with another Ascensia.
Yes. God fucking willing.
For those of you in our Discord community, I'm running an off-stream dungeon crawl for fun that I'm calling the Fungeon Crawl. Our next session that I've scheduled is for the what's the next Wednesday? The 7th of January. There's still a couple slots available, so please sign up for that. That's fun. We've only done one session of that so far. It's first come, first serve. Michael's playing in our next little session. And I promise you I'll get you caught up on everything if you want to come hang out and do that. I don't know why Meg is saying how dare you, but that's fine. We also have a Once Upon a One Shot in January for Daggerheart.
Oh yeah, Kessler's running that, right?
Yes, Kessler is running a Daggerheart session. We still need, I think, one player for that, if I'm not mistaken. So please come join us on the Discord. Say you want to play Daggerheart. That's the new system that was put out last year. I guess still this year. It's this year for another 24 hours-ish, 32 hours-ish. No, 28 hours. I can do that.
Math.
Yeah. Put up at the Critical Role, folks. I'm playing in that. I've never played Daggerheart, so I'm learning on that one too. So please feel free to come do that.
Yeah, come hang out. Join the Discord if you're not already. It's a good time. We play games with the people in our Discord, and you can run a game, or you can join a game, or you can just nerd out and talk about games. We have lots. Just a good time. And I am so friggin' excited to play some more D&D just with you guys, because it's just going to be a dynamite time.
Hell yeah.
So,
if you want any Grimstone Gaming merch,
that's right.
Find it at trpgswag.com/pages/Grimstone Gaming. So check that out for some
cool T-shirts, etc.
etc. etc. Join the Patreon.
And yep, the Patreon. Please come
Throw that
support
up.
us so we can do this more often and with better things. And we love to do it for everybody.
We do indeed. Well, that's it. That's all. We're done. All right, cool. So thanks for
Shout
hanging
out to Katie, Erica, and Meg. Can't wait to see you guys back here in a week.
Yeah. All right, that's it. Never stop playing. Bye.
Bye.